Welcome back, guys. You join me in the middle of another great British storm. This one's called Steve or Jim or something, and it's wreaking havoc around the UK at the moment. But we don't care about that. I'm in the Range Rover, I'm nice and warm. The storm can do its best, we're good. Today's video, I'm going to be going into the running costs of actually owning a Range Rover Sport. What you can expect, even down to what it costs per mile when you do all the calculations at the end of the day. So I've got a big old file here. I've had this car for approaching 6 years now. So obviously I've learned pretty much everything there is to learn about owning a Range Rover and the costs involved with that. So I bought this car back in 2014 for just under £40,000, and shortly after I got it, I started getting a couple little issues. The first one was the door latch motor on one of the rear passenger doors just basically failed and wouldn't lock the car. Now, it's a safe area where I live, touch wood, so it's okay. But yeah, obviously you want to get that fixed sooner rather than later because the alarm kept going off. So the cost for that was £181.84. After that, there was the annual MOT. That was only £35. Following on from that, it was serviced at a main dealer, and that came to a grand total of £464.41. That was classed as a 60,000 mile service, even though the car had only done 32,000 at that point. It's an age thing, I guess. Then there was another MOT, so another £35. The next service was slightly bigger because it wasn't just a service. I had some rear pads put on, and also the fuel sender, which is the sensor in the fuel tank, packed up. So I had no idea how much fuel was in the car. I think I may have done a video on that. But yeah, basically it was fun and games. You have no idea how much fuel is left in the car, and the garage tells you to get to the garage with as little fuel as possible in it, because they have to put the car up and then you have to lift the fuel tank off, which is underneath the car. And obviously it's full of fuel, it weighs a ton, and it's all wasted. So yeah, it's like, you know, chicken and egg. You just have to kind of hope you're going to get there and not run out. We did, and it was fine. But the cost of all of that, with the rear pads and the change of fuel sensor with the service, came to £753. Then we had the annual MOT again. No issues. This car's been good in that sense, with no advisories. Then we have another MOT, another £35, and another service. So this time was a standard service, but I had more brake discs changed, and the handbrake shoe was changed as well. That was in another video where the handbrake just failed. It just seized up whilst you were driving along, which was not fun. So total cost for that, including the new handbrake and the brake discs, because the discs were low, it's easy to change them at the same time, that came to £689. Then there was an MOT, another £35. And now the big one. Now this was the most recent service I had. I also had the timing belt changed because it was that time. It's not a mileage thing, it's a time thing. Mileage wise, it would have been absolutely fine, but because the timing belts are made of rubber, they can perish, and if your timing belts go, that's really expensive. I decided I was going to keep the car, so I may as well get all the timing belts done rather than PX it and let the dealer do it. So yeah, we got the timing belts done, including a service, and changed the front brake pads. And they did the anti-roll bar bushes as well, because if you watch my other video, you'll learn about the car having a knocking sound at the front. That was just the anti-roll bar bushes that needed changing out. It could have been a suspension arm, but luckily it wasn't. That was the cheaper of the two things that could have failed, so it wasn't too bad. And I also had the lowering links fitted, so the Rangey was lowered at the same time. Again, I've done a video, check that one out. So they had to recalibrate the suspension. But all in, that came to £1,518.61. So that was quite a lumpy one, but it was necessary, had to be done. So put it down to ownership costs. And then most recently, an MOT. I'm going to change the MOT company that I use, the garage, because my tame MOT fitter has since retired, which has really caused me issues because there's this new guy there, and he's a proper job's worth. He passed the car, but he gave me an advisory. He said that the child seat was fitted, not allowing full inspection of adult belt on the offside rear. I wasn't there. I literally got there and he'd already put this into the system. I could have literally just undone the seatbelt for him, and it would have avoided, you know, it would have avoided having this stupid advisory on my MOT certificate. Not that it matters. It's, you know, anyone that half a brain will just realise, oh yeah, you just unclip it and you can test the seatbelt. But why would he not have done it himself? Or if he's not allowed to, have just waited for me at the end and said, oh, can you just undo the seatbelt? Otherwise, I'm gonna have to give you an advisory. Stupid. So yeah, I've used literally all of the years I've had this car, but you know, I'm going to change now just because I'm being stubborn. But yeah, it's just little things, isn't it, really? So just to run you through all the costs then of actually owning the Range Rover, well, it's actually cost me over the 6 years pretty much of having this on my driveway. So totting up all of the bills and maintenance, you're looking at about 3,700-ish. So that breaks down to about 630 a year roughly in terms of general maintenance, so MOT, servicing, the usual stuff. I paid, say, 40k for it. It's worth, with all the stuff that's been done to it, probably, I don't know, about 17,000 now roughly. So in 6 years it's lost 23,000 in depreciation. That hurts when I've only done, what, 20,000 miles in the car. But that's Range Rovers for you, they do depreciate quite a lot. So per year that works out to about 3,800 pounds in depreciation. With the running costs you're looking at about 4,500 roughly. So I bought it with 30,000, it's done 50,000 miles now, so yeah, 20,000. It's lost 26,700-ish over those 20,000 miles, so thereabouts. It's cost £1.30, £1.33 a mile to run this car in terms of general maintenance and depreciation. So that isn't including diesel, it's not including insurance, it's not including consumables like your tyres, oil, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, with all of that, obviously per mile you need to work out what your MPG is, but you're probably up into the £2 a mile roughly. This is the first time I've ever done this and worked it back to what a car physically cost me on a mile by mile basis, and thinking about it, it's pretty scary really. I'm a bit shocked if it's like, you know, £2 a mile with fuel, you know, including all the depreciation and maintenance. So, yeah, it's pretty lumpy really, isn't it? It's not that cheap all of a sudden. And I thought I got quite a good deal on this car, and also this car hasn't had that many issues compared to a lot of the other cars out there. You know, many Range Rover Sports have had the bodies off, you know, you've had just endless issues, air suspension. So even with a moderately reliable one, they're still, you know, upwards of £2 a mile to run this type of car. Is it worth it? Yeah, you know, for the family it's been great. It's a safe car, it's comfortable, the kids love it, you can go anywhere in it. It's, you know, all cars depreciate, there's no getting around that. If you think of buying like a brand new one, even without the maintenance cost, it would have cost you more than £2 a mile easily to run that, just because they depreciate just immensely. So yeah, this car was what, 3 years old when I bought it, so it still had a lot of depreciation to do. It's done most of its depreciation now. I don't think it's gonna drop, you know, too much more. Inevitably it will if I put a lot more miles on it, but I don't do many miles. So yeah, you know, it's it is what it is, isn't it? You know, would I recommend owning one still? Yeah, absolutely. If you want a nice luxurious car that, you know, is fun to drive, is very comfortable to drive, it's safe, it's spacious, you can do a lot worse than a Range Rover Sport. Is it expensive to run? Evidently, yeah, it is. You know, it's more expensive than I thought. Now I've done the figures and the calculations, it has worked out more than what I thought. But would I do it again? Yeah, I probably would. Or would I? I don't know. I think maybe not. No, I think the next car I'm going to get, I want to ideally try and avoid the depreciation thing, and I know you can't really do that if you own a Range Rover because they're just horrible with depreciation, but I quite fancy something that's maybe a little bit older. Alright, yeah, it's going to have higher running costs because stuff's going to go wrong more often, but you know, you can counter that with, you know, it's not going to depreciate, or if it is, it'll be minimal. I don't do many miles, you know, as you've seen, 6 years I've done, yeah, 20,000 miles in that time, so I don't do that many miles, so that isn't really a factor. It is more just about the age of the car. If you buy a new car, it depreciates. You buy an older car, the curve is already done with the depreciation, so then it's just a running cost. So I think, yeah, the next car, when I do eventually come around, you know, come around to parting with this car, I'll try something else. But Do I regret owning this car? Not for a second, no. It's been a brilliant car, and the way I see it is all cars cost money. You know, 630 quid a year in running and maintenance costs, I don't think it's that bad. Yeah, the stinger for me is the depreciation. If this didn't depreciate, then yeah, it would be all right. So I hope this video has helped you now understand the true running costs of owning a Range Rover Sport. If it has, please give the video a big thumbs up, consider subscribing to the channel, and feel free to drop a comment. If you own one, let me know what your experience of having this type of car is, if it's cost you an absolute fortune, or if, like me, you know, depreciation aside, the maintenance side has actually been okay. And thanks for watching.